It's a bear. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. I've got the live Hermosa Springs cam up. This is one of the, not in South Florida, but still one of the prettier cams. Our water clarity down here for our underwater cams is still a little bit on the rough side, so figured I'd show someplace north of here. Got a lot of, looks like mangrove snappers kind of moving through here, and there's a predator right there, a nice sized snook. Can't exactly tell how big he is, but one of the apex predators in our inland waters here, and actually quite a tasty sport fish on top of that, as long as you don't cook the skin with it. They used to call it soap fish in the old days, S-O-A-P, soap fish, probably because it tastes like soap, something to do with the skin. Well, let's kind of move into markets here. Man, I had a tough time coming up with a topic today, but I found something really cool last night I was looking at, and I might as well share it with you. I mean, we can talk about, money printing all day long. We can talk about the Fed. We can talk about the big banks, commercial banks, shorting silver and all this stuff. And we do it over and over, and I just kind of got a little tired of it today. So let's try something different. However, we are going to talk about gold and silver markets and what the best deals out there still are. That's something that's, that's the best part of this show, I think, that something unique I can offer you folks that not many other YouTubers can. And my perspective as a full-time dealer since 1977 doing this. So I've got a lot of stuff I can share with you, and today it's not going to be too much the technical side of it. A few things are, but let's move into prices here. I'm going to do a quick refresh. I'm not sure if I did it already. Probably not. And there we are right there. Markets are sitting around 1861. Let's see the range, 1852 to 1865. Kind of sideways, which is good. I mean, we haven't seen, well, the day's not over yet, and Sunday's not here yet, but so far, gold has been holding very well, this 1850 plus range here, and there seems to be some forces wanting to batter it down. So I'm very impressed with the strength of gold, even though it hasn't moved up substantially, and it's even backed off a couple bucks from where it was. As I said, currently 1861.42, a low 1852 and a high 1865. Let's just take a look at the markets here and see if we're going to have any of that erratic yo-yo action today in New York. And it appears, yep, it's already started. Kind of like an up and down yo-yo here at 8 in the morning, which has been a trend going on for quite some time now. However, take a look at prior to New York opening here, and we can clearly see that there is a lot of yo-yo action in the overnight markets as well, where gold looks like it looks like the low was not in today in New York as of yet, and it doesn't look like we're going to see the low. It looks like the low was put in last night, and where was it? Was it London markets? Let's see here. That would have been about 9 GMT times. Gosh darn, I just put that chart away. But no less, I'm not even going to look and see which market was Hong Kong, London. If it was in Globex, we know it's a bullshit sale just to knock the prices down. It's just my opinion. But again, overnight low in gold looks like it was in the overnight markets. Today, choppy action in this 1860 range. Looks like we're right above that mark right now. And look, all these kind of if you take a look at the last 3 trading days, look, it's just trending right in this range. I mean, look, there's Wednesday is blue, Thursday's red, green is Friday, and again, they're all kind of especially in this New York opening, they're all converging in that similar area. So good strength with the price of gold right now at these current levels. Again, the gold's still cheap, folks, so don't think it's high or anything like that. It's still cheap. One day you're going to look back at $1,860 price, just like you look back on $860 now. And the interesting topic I want to bring up too is about the naysayers in precious metals, the people that go, oh well, it's never going to hit that level, or it's going to go crash, or it's going to. Oh God, I've listened to these people for years and years and years, and they've never said anything new or innovative. They just kind of repeat. It's the I want it now crowd. All right, I digress. I'm not going to go into that. Let's just kind of finish what we're doing here. 24.95 silver. And again, silver's been showing some really good strength as well. It's stayed above this $24 mark. I was expecting a hitting the low 24s, maybe the high 23s, of recent, but as of yet, not really. I mean, does this mean we can't see a big monkey hammering happening? Yeah, but really, they're kind of. I don't want to say running out of ammo. I don't have the evidence to back that up. In that sense, they're running out of the ability to knock it down. Again, these people have unlimited resources when it comes to money. It's just they're here to make money. So if these trades just start looking really shitty for them, they're going to back off on these trades. That's on the upside and the downside. And I think I think the commercial banks and a lot of people that are looking at gold and silver now are looking at it more seriously and going, well, it's maintained this level. It hasn't fallen back. A lot of the other markets starting to slide and slip a little bit. Crypto markets got pretty hammered and haven't fully recovered since, and gold and silver is holding its own. But I think it's, when we talk about gold and silver, it's always about wealth preservation. Look, platinum's doing well too, and it's still a super cheap price. What I said about gold being in the 1860 range, you're going to say the same thing about $25 range, $24 range in silver one day. You're going to go, wow, remember when silver was 25 bucks an ounce? Just like some of us remember when silver was $2.50 an ounce, or when it was $5 an ounce, or $7 an ounce. When it was $7 an ounce, going up to 10, it took a while. These little increments, except we're in a full-blown bubble market like we saw in 1980 when the gold and silver line just kind of went parallel straight up, nearly at a 45-degree. And the same thing we saw in 2012 when we saw gold and silver line go kind of in a parallel up in a 45-degree. And we're going to see that, we've seen it with gold not too long ago, not to the same degree of 2008 and 1980. But I think we're in for one of those 45-degree parallel lines straight up, like we saw in 1980, and even more so. Remember, that was $1980, which was pretty amazing that gold hit 800 bucks, considering it was in this $70 to $100 range for a long time. I believe we're in that same range right now. We're gonna look back at these prices right here, and we're gonna go, wow, you remember that? But most of all, you need to look at, let's look at the 24-hour silver chart while I'm talking to you. Most of all, you need to look at gold and silver as wealth preservation. It has been for 5,000 years, and yes, it will bubble. All markets bubble. Gold and silver market will bubble too, and which brings up an interesting article that I kept up here that we'll get to shortly. What do you do when gold and silver markets bubble? Well, Von Greyerz, I always mess his name up. Love reading his stuff, by the way. We'll get to that. He discusses that at the bottom of his article, and I'm going to give you his article as homework too as well. How do you like my homework I've been giving you? I mean, unless you want to sit here and listen to me for 3 hours, I can read it to you. But I think given your own time, you can, bookmark it and go back and read it later. Silver, not kind of looking the same. Look at this kind of range bound we're in right here with gold, that 1860 range. A couple spikes down, but overall maintaining that price throughout the week. Particularly, again, look at New York Times right here. And let's move over to silver here. Silver, not so much. That line is kind of a widespread. But what do you expect for silver? Silver makes crazy moves, and this is probably the norm. I'd be a little nervous if silver was just moving in a 10-cent range here. Silver's the wild and crazy middle sibling, or the younger sibling of gold that makes wild and crazy moves. Again, blue line would be Wednesday, red line's Thursday, and green line is today. As you can see, New York, well, it looks like we hit our low. I can't tell if it started in, no, it looks like overnight, again, the overnight markets on silver kind of got a little monkey hammered from that 1285, 1290 range almost, down as low as 2470, I'm sorry, not 12, and hanging in that 2472 right before, I'm not sure if that's the opening of New York or the closing of London. Looks like right around London, and the New York Open kind of marched its way back up to that 2490 range. So I suspect the strength here that's showing, we're showing strength in New York. And like this morning with gold too, strength in New York this morning overall, even though the action's a little choppy and more range bound. And overnight, looks like gold and silver were kind of drifting in the downward. Kind of interesting, really interesting markets here. I usually expect to see silver and gold get monkey hammered in New York on Fridays and Mondays, and the pattern's kind of been really weird, again, with this yo-yo action. Look at that. Look at the red line from the other day and the green line today. A little more tepid on Wednesday, and I think Tuesday was a little more tepid too, if I recall. A little, not so much action, but all in New York, all in a tight time period as well. Well, gold and silver, gold and silver, gold and silver, gold prices up and down, up and down. Ultimately, we know where it's going. It's a roller coaster to the moon, folks. I've been saying this for a long time. It's a choppy ride getting there. And, you know, every roller coaster has its dips and its scary moments, and then it has its climb upward, which is the exciting part. You know, when you're getting at the top of the hill, that's usually the exciting and the adrenaline's rushing. And then when you're going down it, whoo, that's the fearful part. But you know you'll make it to the other side. And that's exactly what we got with gold and silver and precious metals. We know we're going to make it to the other side. There's no issue about this. In a fiat-driven world, in a debt-driven world run by fiat currencies, and gold with the track record of 5,000 years, and silver, we know we're not going to go bankrupt. We know it's one of probably the greatest forms of wealth protection in the entire planet. That's why central bankers own it in their vaults. They don't own crypto. They don't own diamonds. They don't stack their vaults with $100 bills or treasury notes. They stack their vaults with gold worldwide, folks. Chinese, Russians, United States, all over the world. They stack their vaults with gold because they know exactly what it represents: wealth preservation. That's the most important thing you can do. You know, I was told when I was younger, and I never forgot this, that, you know, and a lot of you will understand this statement: making money is the easy part. Holding on to it is the hard part. And that's exactly what gold and silver does. In an uncertain world, and in a world where we are all forced to live in this debt, fiat-fueled world. So, you know, it's your hedge against that kind of bullshit and nonsense, which ultimately works against you. And we're seeing how that's happening with inflation. Well, I said I wasn't going to talk about too much inflation and all this stuff. Let's move into I want to show you a really cool video. It's 2 minutes. Bear with me. You know, my videos are usually around a half hour to 45 minutes anyway, so bear with me here if you would, because I think you're going to enjoy this video. If not, you can fast forward, watch it later, and watch the rest of my report. But this is pretty cool stuff here. Again, 2 minutes and 39 seconds. I'm going to run this. I'll try to keep my mouth shut and not make any comments, but maybe I will. It's called Where Does Gold From? It's done by the University of California. It's kind of well done. And let's take a look at this here, or take a listen if you'd rather me say.
In Mexico, gold in the Mesoamerican culture was extremely valued. Particularly, the Aztecs believed that gold was actually sweat of the sun, and they can actually pick up the pieces of the sweat of the sun. It had, of course, a strong spiritual value because of the god of sun was a very important component of the culture. What's interesting is, of course, that the gold was not created in the sun. It has these beautiful properties that, you know, it's shiny, it's yellow, and it's natural to assign it to an origin in the sun. But today, one of the biggest mysteries is, you know, where golds come from. And in fact, not only gold, but a large fraction of the very precious elements, sort of titanium, silver, we still haven't figured out where they come from. What type of explosive phenomena can make these heavy elements, which require probably the most extreme conditions of the universe, the highest densities and the highest temperatures to make these elements. And in fact, the stars that I'm more interested in are those sort of rock stars, which basically are extremely luminous, but they just have very short lifetimes. And when they die, they produce these very, very heavy neutron stars or black holes. And in fact, if I take a cup of neutron star matter, it weighs as much as Mount Everest.
Speaking of coffee.
The story of the formation of heavy elements is intimately linked to neutron stars. So a very massive star, more massive than 20 times the mass of our sun.
And that star is not named Satoshi. Sorry, you knew I had to interrupt at some point. The gold is made by stars, folks. It's not made by some guy, and that's a very important factor to think about when you're watching this video as well. I mean, look at this. It's just incredibly rare, and not made by man.
Collapses. In the core, basically the remnant that becomes the neutron star. You know, it's extremely hot and very high densities. So one model is that basically these elements can be produced in supernova explosions. The model of neutron star production has basically encountered lots of problems in terms of whether or not it can actually make the necessary conditions.
And the
I've been working in an alternative model who has significantly gained popularity in the past 5 years, which is actually a little bit more extreme. So the ingredients are 2 neutron stars, and in fact, 50% of stars actually live in pairs, and they're orbiting around each other. Now, because these objects are so dense, they actually distort space and time. And when they touch each other, they generate, billion-degree heat, very high density, and they eject mass. And we believe that in that ejection, they produce about a Jupiter mass of pure gold that is
Wow.
ejected into the external medium. And we believe that, in fact, that may be the main channel to produce gold and other heavy elements.
Now, wasn't that cool, folks? Here, let me reduce that video right there and turn that off. I like that. That was pretty cool. And again, it's one of the themes I've been talking about for a while is that you know, the finite amount of gold that's on this planet. Granted, there's a lot, but the overall use, and silver as well. Silver is a very rare metal as well. It's been around for 5,000 years, and where it comes from is just as fascinating. It comes from colliding neutron stars, very likely. Let's look at some other things that here is good site here. I want to kind of point out to you as well. This is type in how gold is made and how it got to our planet. I'm not able to read you the whole thing, but I'm kind of want to go over some points down here. It talks about why gold is important from Copper Age Israeli hills to the Bulgarian Varna necropolis in the 4th millennia. From the Egyptian pharaohs, okay, it talks about how the Egyptians called gold the breath of God. I also believe the, who was it, the Aztecs called it something similar, not the breath of God, but something similar. And Napoleon gilded Paris in gold. You know, all the reasons that humans have covered gold since we've been on this planet, more or less. I'm not sure about the apes. Yeah, apes like shiny rocks. So apes like gold too, even when we were in our early form, if you believe in Darwinism. Okay, I got that one wrong. First and foremost, what makes precious metal is its rarity. Rarer than silver or copper, two other metals mined since antiquity, its value is proportionately larger. Second, gold has fantastic properties. It does not tarnish, easy to work with, can be drawn into wire, and all kinds of cool stuff. Again, this is a really cool article here. Actually, where I found the video I just showed you. I was looking at this last night. I was, you know, again, I was thinking of a topic for a show. I'm thinking, well, you know, wouldn't it be cool to kind of just, I learned a few new things too. Talk about where gold comes from. You know, how rare and how amazing it's, you know, how it's produced truly is. You know, they talk about it here. Because gold is highly valued and very limited supplies, has been long used as a medium of exchange. The first known gold, use of gold in transaction dates back over 6,000 years. I mean, early transactions were done using pieces of gold or silver, the rarity, usefulness. And the first gold coins, I don't know if this is true, I'd have to fact check this, but under the order of King Croesus, I think of Lydia, present-day Turkey, in about 560 BC. Gold coins are commonly used in transactions up through the 1900s. In the United States, when paper currency became more common form of exchange. The United States once used a gold standard, most of you know this, and maintained a stockpile of gold to back up every dollar in circulation. Under the gold standard, any person, get this, any person, that includes you and I, under the gold standard in the United States at one time, could present this paper currency to the government and demand exchange in equal value of gold. Gosh, I mean, it's amazing how we got fooled into giving up this ability to demand gold instead of fiat currencies. I mean, but anyways, I digress. It talks about possibly gold's greatest use to mankind didn't become evident until early last century, when its fantastic electrical conductivity properties came to light. Solid-state devices use very low voltages and currents, which are easily interrupted by corrosion or tarnish at the contact points. The one advantage of gold in electronics over silver, and again, as we know, silver is used in electronics, a lot of electronics thrown away. Silver is a lot rarer than most people think it is because of this above ground availability of silver. What's available. Gold is not thrown away, but gold is still used in electronics. And one of the, again, the beauty of gold is it doesn't tarnish. Silver does tarnish. So if you take a look at your iPhone or whatever phone that you happen to use, and you look inside where the ports are, and you look at the little plug that you plug into your iPhone, or whatever, again, whatever thing you use, you'll notice that the contacts are like gold, and they are actually gold. And that is because if they use silver, it would corrode fairly quickly, and you wouldn't be able to use it as a contact. Now, silver works great, you know, as wire or as a circuit board, but when it doesn't work well as a contact, and if you know what a contact is. Gold works far better as a contact because, again, it doesn't corrode and it holds up better to that kind of wear. So a small amount of gold is used in almost every sophisticated electronic device out there. It includes cell phones, calculators, this or that. Again, not going to read the whole article, but there's some facts of gold here that I want to read. A couple of them I wasn't aware of either. By the way, too, I just want to go over this, and I'm not trying to make you dizzy, but this is how gold is made and how it got to our planet. It's kind of a science study. It's called ZME Science is the website. I kind of just lucked into it by doing a Google search. But let's take a look at some of the highlight points here. I wanted to facts about gold. The atomic number of gold, which means there are 79 protons in the nucleus of every atom of gold. Okay, 1 ounce of gold can be stretched to a length of 50 miles. 1 ounce, folks. You know that gold Krugerrand you have? The gold inside that Krugerrand or inside your maple leaf or whatever 1 ounce gold bar you have, you can stretch that metal into a piece of wire 50 miles long. That's incredible if you think about it. The malleability of gold's amazing, all right? The resulting wire would be about just 5 microns wide. I forgot how many microns a hair is, but that's probably about the size of a hair or less, I would imagine. 1 ounce of pure gold could be hammered into a single sheet of 9 square meters. Wow, that's pretty amazing as well. If you think about it, again, your gold coin, 9 square meters. Oh man, you could cover the floor in your house with your ounce of gold, just about 9 square meters. Over 90% of the world's gold has been mined since the California gold rush. This is kind of interesting. We've spoken about this before, what I call peak gold supply or peak oil supply. Not that we're running out of oil, you know, that isn't necessarily what peak oil meant. And the same thing with peak gold, not that we're running out of gold, but it's getting harder and more expensive to mine and get out of the ground. It's not like the old days you'd walk along a riverbed and just start picking up nuggets. Gold has become a lot harder to mine, so has silver as well. They're going deeper and deeper, getting more expensive processes. Talking about pulling it from seawater, which I hope they never do. That's I'm not sure that's a good idea. But I digress. Let's move along here. Julius Caesar gave 200 gold coins to each of his soldiers from the spoils of war in defeating Gaul. Well, no wonder he was a popular guy with his soldiers. 200 gold coins to each of his soldiers. Oh my God, that was a lot of gold. Doggone it. Fort Knox holds, okay, let me add something here. Fort Knox supposedly holds 4,600 tons of gold. You know, there's a conspiracy out there that Fort Knox does not have gold. The U.S. Federal Reserve holds gold, something I've been talking about for a long time for all you folks that are thinking that crypto is money or crypto is wealth preservation. It's not. It's a very volatile fiat, digital fiat. And if it was so worthwhile, you know, U.S. Federal Reserve and central bankers all over the world would get rid of their gold and they would buy Bitcoin, wouldn't they? But they don't. What do they hold in their vaults? We say it all the time. Central banks, including the U.S. Federal Reserve, holds gold in their vaults, all right? They don't hold paper. They don't hold crypto. Let's move along here. The temperature of the human body is, I didn't know this, is 37 degrees. Because of gold's unique conductivity, gold jewelry rapidly matches your body heat, becoming part of you. All right, so would aluminum, I think, as well. I'm not sure I like that fact so much, but it does have good conductivity when it comes to heat. Is it as good as aluminum? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, can't tell you that. But I know other metals do the same thing, but gold's comfortable to wear. In 95 BC, Chinese Emperor Hsiao Wu minted gold commemorative piece to celebrate the sighting of a unicorn. Well, I didn't know that. I guess there are unicorns out there. Someone made a gold coin for it. Gold is edible. Some Asian countries put gold in fruit, jelly, snacks. Europeans have been putting it on, you know, you all heard about the gold hamburger that costs like $1,000 to buy somewhere in Europe or somewhere. Yeah, you can put gold leaf on it. It's really, you know, it's it's edible, but it just kind of passes through you like corn. I guess. It's gonna make a colorful surprise in the morning, wouldn't it? Wow. I'm not going to go there. The chemical symbol for gold is Au from the Latin word aurum, meaning shining dawn, and from Aurora, the Roman goddess of the dawn. Oh, that's interesting. In 50 BC, Roman began issuing gold coins called the Aurorus and the smaller Solidus. Sorry if I hacked those words. I should not. I am a coin dealer primarily, so I should know how to pronounce those words. Between AD 307 and 324, the worth of 1 pound of gold in Rome rose from 100,000 denarii, Roman coin, to 300,000 denarii. By the middle of the 4th century, a pound of gold was worth 2,120,000. Well, what? 2,120,000,000 denarii, and an example of early runaway inflation, which is partly responsible for the collapse of Rome. Brings up a very good point, folks. The collapse of Rome. Rome issued gold and silver coins, and as you can see up here, where did they? In 50 BC, they began issuing gold coins that the public would spend, the public would use, and silver coins as well. And as you saw up here as well, Caesar gave 200 gold coins to a soldier. Now this was in the early days when the Romans were on the gold and silver standard, so to speak. All right, let's just say that they were on the gold and silver, and we know this factually. We know this through history, and we know that Rome's greatest time was during its gold and silver period. All right, when their money was backed by gold and silver. Strange coincidence here, folks. All right. So when the Roman emperors and when Rome started just getting itself spread out all over the world, their armies all over different areas of Europe, they just got so spread thin. They weren't able to raise enough tax money, steal enough money, or whatever it is they needed to do to fund their expansion. And again, does this sound similar to the clueless politicians we have today? And so what did they do? They started reducing the amount of precious metals in their gold coins and their silver coins. Eventually, towards the end of the Roman Empire, they started taking copper or whatever the heck. I don't think they used copper. They used some kind of pot metal or whatever, and they started coating it with gold or silver. Silver wash, they would call it. And I forget, it was denarius or something. They would wash it with silver. Not dissimilar to what they did when we went to a non-silver coinage in after 1964. Remember? They started taking away the silver out of our coins. Exact same thing happened in the Roman Empire, and if you look at the collapse of Rome, it wasn't too far after they screwed with their money and went off the gold and silver standard. If you take a look at our empire here in the United States, we're not too far off either, folks. In fact, we're probably the longest surviving fiat currency in history, the US dollar right now, since Nixon took us off in '72. Some can say that FDR took us off, but Nixon really took us off officially. Good articles here, like I said, take a read on this. This is, oh my gosh, where is it? How Gold is Made and How It Got to Our Planet. Excellent read. And the video, again, you can watch yourself as well. It says, Where Does Gold Come From? It's done by the University of California. Something cool to come out of California. Isn't that awesome? Well, a couple articles here I'm going to go over before we get to the end of our videos here. Traders are running for the exit of JP Morgan Chase. Bloomberg News can't figure out why. Bloomberg knows exactly why. Because you know, they're part of the problem. Bloomberg's part of the problem. There's a couple different types of people. There's probably 4 different types of people in the world. All right, in my opinion. Besides Paris, the three that I talk about, there's a subsection. I guess the subsection would be producers, parasites, and what the heck was it? Predators. Those are the kind of people that we have out in the world. But we also have, when it comes to certain things, we have people in denial. We have people that are what was I saying? Only, you know, 1/3 of the people out there don't care about shit. You know what I mean? They don't care about politics. They don't care about economics. They don't care as long as they got a roof over their head and a video game, or they got their head stuffed in the television set and they got enough to eat. They don't care about anything. All right. You know, they may watch a little bit of stuff on TV and pretend they know stuff. 1/3 of the people are in denial. All right, denial that bad shit happens. You know, why they're in denial, I don't know. And then 1/3 of the population is delusional. Those are the people that are currently running Congress right now, the delusional people. But I digress. So, you know, you got people in denial, you got people in delusion, and you got 1/3 of the people that don't give a shit, don't care. And that leaves 1%. Well, who are the 1%? 1% of the people out there see reality, and that's people like us to some degree, especially when it comes to precious metals. We see the reality of what's going on out there in the greatest bubble of all time, created by debt, fueled by Federal Reserve and central banks all over the world. So, you know, there's a percentage of just see reality. And when it comes to like Bloomberg News, you know, I got to wonder, what are they delusional? Are they in denial, or are they just don't care? Well, we know it's not that they don't care. They make billions off this stuff. So I think they're realists, but they're predators and they're parasites. So as I got my own, I got a whole subsection of how I describe people again. You know, predators, parasites, and producers. And you know what a parasite is? It sucks off others. That's what that's what the current administration in Congress is, parasites. And they've even become somewhat predatory as well. And then, again, your predators are your big commercial banks out there that monkey hammer the price of gold and silver's down just simply because they can and then get away with it legally. So why are traders running for the exit of J.P. Morgan Chase? Because J.P. has been, if J.P. would make a crime syndicate proud, how many felonies have they kind of avoided? I don't even know. Billions of dollars in fines. They push their employees to do illegal things. It's all about the holy dollar, and nobody goes to jail. Why? Because the Justice Department is completely clueless, so are the regulators, if they're not complicit with them in some way, somehow. Some people say that the J.P. Morgan worked with the government in monkeying, hammering prices of gold and silver down and manipulating other markets. That's why they're not in jail. But I've always said too big to jail. I mean, too big to fail, too big to jail. That's the problem we got here. Bloomberg. Listen, traders not burying their heads in the sand like Bloomberg News now understands that you may be. So the reason the traders are leaving there because they see that it's a possibility they can end up in jail for what they've done. Folks, don't be in denial about this. What was the other thing I was saying? Don't be in denial and don't be delusional thinking that this is not happening. They've done a lot of illegal shit out there, and that's why they've manipulated markets down. At a 5-count felony bank one day, and a perp walked up the next day. In addition to felony counts for rigging trading precious metals in U.S. Treasuries in 2020, the bank received 1 felony count in 2015 for rigging foreign exchange trading. So, I mean, they're out there rigging markets all over the place. And I got to tell you, people like Bloomberg, they're not delusional. They're either in denial or they're complicit with the whole deal. And I say they're more likely complicit. That's why Bloomberg News and a lot of corporate news can't figure out or haven't followed stories like this with JP breaking the laws for years. If this was anybody else, folks, they'd be buried under a prison. Bloomberg knows it. And again, my opinion, corporate news and Bloomberg and a lot of people in political offices and they're clueless. But a lot of people in the regulatory industries and the Department of Justice are completely complicit with this, in my opinion, or completely stupid. Let me move along here. Seeking Alpha. Good article in here. Gold, don't look for higher interest rates anytime soon. Again, I'm not going to beat up interest rates, even though I always do. I'm not going to beat up the Fed, even though I always do. But this is something we've been talking about for a long time. They can't afford to raise interest rates. Good article here done by Equity Management Academy, whoever that may be. You can find it under Seeking Alpha. Go to their, and for free. I subscribe to the site. I like it, but I believe you can read this for free. Go to Markets, Gold and Precious News, Precious Metals, and you can read it right here. Don't look for higher interest rates. More or less, they're saying exactly what we've been saying for a long time. In a nutshell, the Reader's Digest version, there's no way they can raise interest rates to anything meaningful. They just can't do it. Even if they raise it a few percent, that still is not going to drive down the price of gold. People say, well, the price of gold will go down when interest rates go up. You know how high they'd have to raise interest rates to make it so gold wouldn't go up and it was worthwhile for you to buy treasuries or bonds or whatever the fuck it is they want you to buy? It ain't happening, folks. And this is a good article. Don't look for higher interest rates. We continue to face supply shortages across the board, although some supplies are beginning to flow somewhat better, except for Austria and Germany, whose officials are making complete boneheaded decisions there to try to close down their economy over the Critter 19. Still, these fucking people don't learn. Government stimulus continues to be extremely high. The dollar is artificially high at the moment because it's based on perception of the interest rates will go up. And the idea was discussed more in depth with members of my private investment. Okay, why did I read that? I don't know. But anyway, good article here, worth the read. Talks about fundamentals. The bubble keeps getting bigger. This bubble right here, what is this? This chart right here, United States dollar. It talks about the U.S. dollar and interest rates. Take a look at interest rates. Interest rates went dramatically crazy in the 1980s, and then they fell back. But we talked about this the last few weeks. I've shown you these same charts. We've compared gold with interest rates and all that. Interest rates, folks, they're not going to go significantly high enough that gold does not become a great deal. They just can't do it. Gold's going to be a great deal. We're in the middle of a bull market right now. And I don't know how long that 45-degree line is going to last when it does. So another good article here on ZH, Von Greyer's. Love this guy's stuff, man. If I didn't think we were going to be here for such a long time, I'd read the whole article to you. But I am encouraging you to definitely read ZH. Go to ZH. You can read it for free. Type in Gold O Mania. That's a pretty one. Is coming. And you'll see it on the, well, with Zero Hedge over the week, if you just go to Zero Hedge and try to look at it, it'll be scrolled way down pages and pages if they didn't remove it. So again, just type in Gold O Mania is coming. Von Greyer's, I hope I pronounced his name right because, man, the guy writes some good stuff here. I like what they write. The buoyancy of markets in recent, I'm not going to read it all to you, but it has lulled central banks into a false convention they saved the world after 2006 and 9. Yeah, we know that, man. We've been talking about that for some time. They've never fixed anything. All they did was apply Band-Aids to a hemorrhaging patient and keep putting more plasma in, which is really money into the system, blood into the patient. Gosh, this kind of goes over to all the stuff that we consistently talk about, and exuberance continues to dominate intoxicated stock market investors. They haven't yet noticed that all is not well in the perilous seas. Again, what type of people are those? Are those the people that are in denial? Are those the people that are delusional because that market's going to take a crap? Or is it maybe another thing? Maybe it's fear of missing out. I think a lot of the stock market right now, I have a friend of mine that's in it pretty heavily, his retirement and everything, and I say, well, aren't you afraid? Aren't you want to get out? And I think what they are, they're afraid that they're going to miss out on higher gains. Is that FOMO, fear of missing out, or is that just greed? I don't know. So let's move along here. Printing presses don't create real value. Instead, they create bubbles full of worthless air. Man, he nails it. God, I love this stuff. But sadly, intoxicated investors confuse air, which is free and has no value, with real intrinsic values. To take an example, what is the intrinsic value of a Bitcoin or BTC? How should BTC be valued? Does the 60,000 price today reflect the real value, or was the 10-cent price 10 years ago more correct? And again, something I agree with 100%, Bitcoin-o-mania is what we are seeing. Similar to the tulip-o-mania in the 1630s, and again, he puts a question mark here. He's not saying that's a statement, and I believe the same way. Could this be similar? I haven't ruled it out myself, but I'm not saying it is for sure. If not, can someone tell me at what price Bitcoin is fully and properly valued? Question mark. Excellent point. This is something we've brought up so many times, it's not even funny. The Bitcoin aficionado, oh gosh, I'm going to butcher that word, will tell us that the BTC is a modern money. Aficionados will tell us that BTC is modern money and superior to any other currency. Well, maybe they are right, but history must prove that. The 11-year, and again, I'm going to emphasize this, the 11-year history of Bitcoin is hardly sufficient to prove that it will fare any better than any other money. We must remember that so far in history, no currency has ever survived its original form except for gold. All right? And the 5,000-year history of gold as money certainly makes it superior, and let me emphasize this, superior to all fiat currencies as well as cryptocurrencies. Let me just say that one more time. Superior, folks, all right? This is factual. This is science. This is factual. There's nothing made up about this. This is historical. History tells us it is absolutely superior. Anyone that says otherwise, and someone that's trying to say that cryptos are going to replace gold, is either in denial because they own it and they don't want to admit it, or they're delusional, which is, I think they're probably delusional to some degree, delusional in the greed way. And 1% of us out there right now currently see Bitcoin for what it is, and also see gold and silver for what it is. Gold and silver created by colliding neutron stars, not created by some guy named Satoshi, whoever the fuck that is. Excuse my language, but it's true. He kind of nails it here, and it's, again, the 5,000-year history of gold as money certainly makes it superior to all fiat currencies as well as cryptocurrencies. Anyone who want to argue that point, I don't think you can. You can try, but anyways, let's move along here. Having said all that, BTC has been, and I agree, and might continue to be a superb speculative, again, key word, speculative investment. I 100% agree with this, which is totally unsuitable as money. History will tell if I'm right. Man, I could have wrote this myself, and I agree 100% with that. let's see here, and he talks about the same thing I talk about as well, central bank digital currency, CBD. I believe, and I'm certain, that banks and governments hate competition, so they're going to squash these crypto coins, these private crypto coins, or whatever you want to call them, all right? And they're going to create their own. And then once they create their own, they're going to get people, they're going to force people into these cryptos, and then if debt, here. What we must understand, of course, that making old debt disappear has consequences. You can't just let one side of the balance sheet disappear without it. So if debt is written down to zero, so are all the assets were financed by this debt. And also, CBDCs are a wonderful way to control the spending of people. Governments and central banks can in an instant flood the market with money by issuing their digital currency directly to everyone, or also turn off access to your money. So CBDCs not only give the government total control of your money, it also means you could be fined arbitrarily for anything you are alleged to have done, and obviously be taxed at will. This would be horrible as it sounds and means the ultimate totalitarian state. Man, again, this is my mantra. I've been talking about this stuff for a long time. I'm not going to go into it any further because you know my stance on it if you've been watching my videos for a while, and I believe it's 100%. Gold on its way to new highs and beyonds. I can't argue with that. There's another clear reason to buy gold at the time. After 24 times rise during the last gold meeting between 71 and 80, from 35 to 850, gold corrected 20 years down to 250 in 1999. In 2002, we had a technical confirmation that gold had bottomed at 300. That was basically the start of our next bull market in 2011 and 12. The best time to buy an asset is when it's unloved and undervalued, which was the case in 2002. And is gold unloved right now and undervalued? I think it's undervalued substantially and unloved, but becoming less and less so. I think people are waking up, at least the 1% of us that are not in denial or not delusional or just simply don't care. 1% of us actually understand this. So you're part of the 1%ers, folks. Great article here. Again, look how long this is. We'd be here for a long time if I read this whole thing. So your homework for today is to read one of my favorite authors out there, or the guys that write about gold and silver. I'm like on the same page. It's almost like coming out of my brain. Von Greyer's Gold O Mania is coming. My kudos to this gentleman. Great and well written. So thanks for writing this, sir. And hey, I think you folks should read it out there. Well, let me move over to one of my favorite reading spots here. Again, if I started to read this, man, we'd be here for hours and hours. One of my favorite websites as far as news and economic stuff, American Institute for Economic Research. These are smart people out here. These are not a bunch of morons that you get in Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and the other corporate sources of economic and political narratives. So good article in here today called, once again, There's No Such Thing as Market Fundamentalism, done by George Leaf. I'm not going to read it to you here, folks, but I think it's okay on YouTube videos to introduce people to stuff that you're reading. You don't have to read it, but I certainly recommend you take a look at this website and start reading some of these articles. It will make you smarter than the average bear out there. And trust me, there's not a lot of very smart bears when it comes to economics and politics, especially if people watch Fox News or CNBC or whatever their favorite flavor corporate narrative is. They're getting just a small part of the picture, and they may not even be getting the whole truth. Well, let's move over to Wall Street Silver. Now, I'm not going to talk about anything in Wall Street Silver today, but this picture, I love it. It reminded me of, this is someone's safe inside here, and it's really cool. They got all kinds of cool silver and gold, but if you scale this up to the size of a regular room, this reminds me of what Scrooge McDuck's, how he would design his living room, except it would be mostly gold coins. I guess I'm showing my age here when I talk about Scrooge McDuck. Remember when he used to dive into I think he had a living room that he'd dive into piles of gold coins, and he's like a swimming pool. They kind of remind me of that. I like the Wall Street Silver Apes, man. These guys take precious metals. Generally, what I once thought was a boring kind of field, because you buy it, you stick it in a safe, and it hides away somewhere. But these guys kind of somewhat make it more exciting and more fun. Take a look at this guy, beautiful. He just put his silver chain down there and took a picture of a lake. Again, the enthusiasm's off the hook on the Wall Street Silver. If you're not a member of this Reddit Wall Street Silver group, I advise. It's kind of fun, and there's a lot of good people out there. Well, Let me move into yesterday's video real quickly here. $100 silver, here we come. And if you're wondering where I came up with the $100 silver, there's a couple things. And one of the articles I read during this talked about triple-digit silver. That's kind of where the idea came from when I read the article. But let me reiterate, I don't see $100 silver as anything crazy or out of this world. There's a few people that made comments in the comments section like, oh yeah, it'll be $100. I don't want to diss any of my commenters down there because I really appreciate you watching. But you know, if I had you know, an ounce of silver, not even, you know, if I had a tenth of an ounce of silver for every person I heard that's when I said $100 or when I said $20 silver back when silver was in the not teens, but you know, less than 10, when silver was a $5 to $10 range, I kept saying we're going to see $25. So people, oh yeah, right, you know, bad, long past when we're dead, you know. So if I had a tenth of an ounce of silver for every time I heard a naysayer saying we weren't going to see the next level up in precious metals, I'd be rich. So listen to me, I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for a living for a long time. And you know what? I'm glad gold and silver doesn't go up and down like a yo-yo, you know, like some so-called investments do, so-called money does. I really am. That to me, when I see that, that just turns me off. You know what I mean? It's like a casino. All right, thanks for watching, Inspector Jason. Mark, I appreciate it. Hi, Brian. Are Valcambi 1 kilogram bars good if I want to resell? Jake, if you can buy 1 ounce or you know, 1 ounce increments in gold, I'd recommend that, even if you have to pay a little bit of a premium. Kilogram gold bars, well, if you're talking about gold bars, hard to sell. Kilogram silver bars, if you can get a good rate on them, why not? It's just, you know, someone has to do the math. They're not as popular in the United States as they are in the European and other countries, but yeah, if you can get kilogram bars for a good price in silver, why not? Gold bars, wouldn't recommend it for most folks. Again, unless you're buying $1 billion worth of gold and you have no place to store it and you need storage, you get storage issues. And again, $1 million worth of gold, what am I saying? $1 million worth of gold and Valcambi 10 ounce bars, I believe, or was it a kilogram, is not even any bigger than a 2-slice toaster. So what the F am I talking about? You can store a lot of gold in bars. D Live, do you think Elon will start or has already completed buying up silver producers? Saw an interview with First Majestic. You know, I don't know. I think it would be smart for Elon to buy silver. I mean, how's he going to go wrong? He's, again, wealth preservation. I think that a company like Tesla would really appreciate, rather than the volatility, which I'm sure their stockholders don't appreciate, the volatility of the casino tulip market. Sorry, I said it. Again, it may not be, may turn out to be different in the future. I could be wrong, but would be not as cool as having something solid like gold and silver in his vaults. And actually, Elon could use silver to his advantage as well. Thanks for that comment, D. I appreciate it. Shows bullish uptrend, more likely to climb. I agree with you, Cool Gray Pilgrim. And Ernest can't argue with that as well, but you know what? They're complicit. Listen, the FBI involved in the fraud with gold and silver, you know what? I don't even think they got involved with the 2020 fraud that happened during the election. So, are they going to get involved with anything else? I don't think so. And in fact, they're part of the fraud, in my opinion. Not with precious metals. Joe Rock, again, that's highly opinionated in I'm not too happy with what's going on in our government right now. Joe Rock says, we all know it's over-leveraged paper market. Most physical is being bought up. This is true. Thanks for mentioning that, Joe. AC, when spot prices go up, you smile when they go down. Silver always gets, Bangkok Bill says, silver always gets smashed down. Haven't you figured out yet? I don't know, Bill. How long have you been watching my videos for? If you've been watching my videos, you know I've had it figured out for 40 years now. Maybe not quite, but a lot longer than most. But you know, I've said for years that all markets are rigged, Bill. Every market you're involved with, Bill, is rigged, including whatever your pension plan is, your IRA, the elections that you're involved with, the banking people. Everything is rigged and manipulated from the day you're born, Bill. The whole key to being successful and getting ahead is understanding how the game is played, understand how the casino rigs the game, understand who the players are, and figure out your part and how you get ahead. Yeah, I did figure it out, Bill. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And again, thanks for commenting. Now We Ride says, I'd like your thoughts. I agree with you 100% on green energy. Where are all these new companies building? They're going to get their silver, COMEX. Yeah, that's true. They're going to get their silver from somewhere. And again, I believe that the physical markets are going to are the dog, and the paper markets are the tail. And at some point, the dog is going to start wagging the tail again, as opposed to the opposite direction with it's been going for years. And let's move along here. Monkey hammering is becoming less and less effective. I agree 100%. Joey says, what happened in this area where silver moved up overnight to $250 an ounce? I won't say that's impossible, but highly unlikely that we'd see anything like that happen, Joey. And local coin stores. But what would happen? Well, here's the deal. This is what I've been telling people a long time. When we start to see gold and silver in a bubble, I've seen it happen in, what was it, 1980. 2011 really wasn't a bubble. That was monkey hammered by commercial banks and maybe governments as well. Trust me, 2011, 2012, gold and silver were going to continue to go up until COMEX and the crooks put a stop on it. So 1980 was a different market, though. 1980, the Hunt brothers had cornered the silver markets, and again, COMEX actually screwed the Hunt brothers. CME Group screwed the Hunt brothers. They did, and the bullion banks screwed the Hunt brothers, and so did the banks that gave the Hunt brothers loans, screwed the Hunt brothers. So that price was, silver was in a bubble in 1980. There's no doubt in my mind. Gold was up to $800 an ounce, but silver was definitely in bubble territory because of the Hunt brothers. And so many people were bringing in silver, even at the $40 mark, and it was just coming in so fast at the time that local coin stores and bullion dealers started discounting scrap silver pretty heavily. I think refiners stopped paying. They just said no more. We got too much, and they were months behind in doing the refining. You got to remember how much scrap silver was out there, silverware, jewelry, you name it, in the 1980s that had just never been sold off because it was always cheap. When silver went to $50 an ounce, that shit came flying in. In fact, it came in so fast that local coin stores and bullion dealers were discounting it very heavily. So if you were to see a $250 rise in silver overnight, you'd see probably a tremendous amount of sellers coming in right away, and the discounts would be extremely heavy for two reasons. It'd come in so fast, and the second reason is that nobody would want to get caught if that market dropped instantly. And that's where the refiners were in 1980 with silver. They started discounting it heavily because it was taking them months to refine this stuff, and they did not want to get caught with their pants down, and they would have too, and I'm sure some did. Let's take a look here. Mr. Smith, thanks for watching. Appreciate that. Travis says, what are the reasons they want to keep silver down like this? What's in it and for who? And what are the shorts exactly? Keep watching my show, Travis, and my videos. I'll let you know. But here, let me give you a little homework, Mr. H. Go type in the word Ted Butler silver manipulation on your browser or your search engine or whatever you use. I like DuckDuckGo. Type in Ted Butler silver manipulation, all right, and read his stuff, and he'll tell you about the big commercial bank short positions, and he does it in an easy way to explain. We talk about it all the time. John Gordon says, please give me an exact time and date when silver will break out. Hang on one second, John, right up here. There's my crystal ball. I think it's going to break out on 2:35 p.m. December 2021. I don't know what you expected for an answer from that one, John, but have a nice day anyway, sir. Silver Surfer says, haha. I like surfers, so I'm a surfer myself. So well said. Thank you very much, and thank you, sir. Hey, listen, we're at the end of my video here. It's Friday. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank God it's frickin' Friday. Keep buying the frickin' dips too, folks. Hit that like button right there if you would, if you're new to my videos, and definitely please hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate it, and would like to thank everybody for watching. My name is Brian Kuzmar. I've been doing this since 1977, second generation rare coin dealer and a precious metal dealer. I advertise to beat APMEX, JM, and SD Bullion, the big online sellers, respectable sellers as far as I'm concerned. And but I'm very competitive, and your local coin store should be too. I don't deal outside my area here, so you have to live in South Florida and come visit me in order to buy stuff from me and sell. So if you don't live in my South Florida area, I recommend you buy a good, you find yourself a good local coin store. I am all about keeping the money local. I don't care if it's jewelry, tires, auto parts, whatever it may be. Keep that money local, folks. It's very important. Find yourself a good competitive local dealer like I am here in South Florida, and stick with dealing with them. Again, nothing wrong with the online sellers. If you live in Alaska or bum F nowhere, I almost said the word, you live in bum F nowhere, yeah, you might need to deal with one of those online sellers, and at that point, why not? You know, but if you can drive an hour and find a good local coin and bullion dealer that's competitive, keep that money in your state. Trust me on this. Well, that's it. Thanks. Have yourself a great weekend. Look forward to talking to you on Monday, and thanks again, folks. I appreciate it. Bye now.